So, everybody, welcome back. We are here with Cowries Kumi. Kumi, if you could just pronounce your last name for me, I don't want to butcher it or do
You,
do
you, you
wrong by you.
pronounce it right, Kumi.
Okay, cool. So,
Yeah.
Cowries Kumi, he is a Bitcoin educator from the Volta region of Ghana. I'm super excited to have him on because I lived in the Volta region of Ghana for a little while, helping to. I was working at a trade school there. It was a great experience, and one day I saw Kumi pop up in my Twitter feed, and I saw someone saying they're from the Volta region talking about Bitcoin, and I had been super excited to ask someone from that region about how to teach people from there about Bitcoin, only because I didn't want to seem sort of like a crazy person telling people about this magic internet money or something, and have them not understand me. But anyway, Kumi, could you give us a little bit of a background about yourself,
Okay. So
and how you came to find Bitcoin?
okay. My name is Kumi Nkansah. Kumi Nkansah is my real name. I don't have a Christian name
Cool.
because my dad wanted to stick to the African standard, and I have toned that line as well. So I'm not from the Volta region. I am from the eastern region. I'm living in Accra. Accra is where I live, and I went to school in Accra. I did everything in Accra. I got to the Volta region because of Bitcoin. I met someone from the Volta region at the first ever Africa Bitcoin conference. And we spoke about Bitcoin. He got to see what I'm doing with Bitcoin in Accra. Then I said, all right, then I'll come and help you in the Volta region to educate people and then to get Bitcoin rolling in the Volta region because he was more of a newbie than I am. That's how come I ended up in the Volta region. And
Okay.
then going into the Volta region, I would say it's been a learning experience and it's been an adventure as well for me doing this in the Volta region. Yeah.
Very, very cool. And how did you come to find Bitcoin? So you said this person was more of a newbie than you. How new to Bitcoin are you?
Yeah. I'm a digital marketer and I'm a broadcast journalist.
Yep.
Yeah, I've been working on radio for the past 13 years. I have quite a huge fan base and a lot of experience when it comes to radio and TV programming in Ghana. I happen to be the first digital marketer for Ghana's number one urban radio station, which is called YFM. So I
Okay.
was the first person to actually get the radio station to get social media accounts, get Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and all of that. I spent a lot of time on the internet. So once the social media popped up, I introduced the whole radio station to it. The radio station jumped on the social media, and that radio station happened to be the first ever radio station in Ghana to have a Twitter account, to have a YouTube, an Instagram account, and then we were using it the way it's supposed to be at the advantage of the radio station. So
Cool.
in that, I was learning, I'm following up with all these big guys on social media. What is it you're doing? Okay, now we have social media. What is the next phase? What is the new development coming in on social media? Then I got to see Bitcoin. I started reading about Bitcoin on my own. Nobody actually said, yo, this is it. You need to read about it. But then from the kind of people I was following on Twitter, I realized, okay, this is the direction they're turning. I better read about Bitcoin. Then I started reading about Bitcoin. I started orange peeling my co-workers in the radio station, some of the presenters and then the DJs that are in the radio station. I started telling them about it. You listened to me when I told you about Twitter. I was literally begging them to get on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and the rest. I was begging. I was pleading with them. They said, "What is it? Are you crazy? What is it you're telling us to do?" I said, "Okay, I am not crazy. This is where the world is going. So if you listen to me, we are going to write and fast forward. Social media has evolved. Everybody that listened to me as at that time now have huge following. They've seen the advantages of it. Now I started up again by saying, okay, now you're done with social media. The next is Bitcoin. Money
Okay.
is changing. You need to learn about Bitcoin. This is what I've learned so far, and this is the direction we are going. In the initial stages, it started off like, oh, Kumi, here comes Kumi again with all the things he's been learning on the internet, telling us money is changing and all of that. yeah, so that's how I got into Bitcoin. That's I would say that's about 5 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah, but it was to myself. I wasn't open about it. It was to myself, and then the few people around me. I wasn't really open about it, but I got really open about it after the Africa Bitcoin conference because
Oh.
yeah, because initially when you're talking about Bitcoin in Ghana, people think, isn't it one of those scams? This guy is gonna try and scam us. He's trying to tell us something we don't know. So I kept in my shell. I didn't want to tell anybody about it, even though I was enjoying it. I was seeing all the good things that were coming out of Bitcoin. I wasn't open. But then after the Africa Bitcoin conference, it was held in Ghana. The
Yep.
authorities saw it. The media houses saw it. They saw prominent people they look up to. So the likes of Jack Dorsey, all these big guys were here.
Mm-hmm.
Now I said, okay, this is it. Why don't I just shoot up and then start going hard on it and then let them know, okay, this thing I was talking about, this is it. You all look up to these guys, and this is what these guys are doing. This
Yep.
is what I'm telling you about. Then I started going all out about Bitcoin education and then all the good things that are coming with it.
Very cool. Do you think you talked? I've listened to you on another podcast, and you talked a little bit about how seeing people face to face, making all of those personal connections, it sort of changes your experience with Bitcoin. I think you feel like you're more part of a network.
Yeah,
Was that a big part of boosting your confidence? Did you see
that
other people? Yeah.
yeah, seeing other Africans like me, seeing the big figures, those kind of personalities actually boosted my energy and my morale to
Cool.
actually do this and then go all out about it.
Very
Yeah, it
cool.
really
Very.
helped. So I would say the conference actually uh, came in at the right time. It did more good to me. It actually helped a lot. And then now when I'm talking about Bitcoin to people in Ghana, I'm not scared anymore. I go all out. And once the questions come in and they say, oh, isn't it illegal? Oh, isn't it the government going to talk about it? I said, if it was illegal, it wouldn't be allowed in Ghana. We wouldn't have held the conference here.
Yep.
We had people from the Bank of Ghana, we had officials from the Bank of Ghana, the cybersecurity office, prominent people in government. They were all at the conference. So me seeing all of those pointers, I'm like, all right, now this is the time for me to go all out. Let me speak to anybody I can, and I'm on it.
Excellent, excellent. And why do you think the government is okay with it? Why do you think they haven't been, been speaking out against it?
So, one thing I know about Ghana, we are open to learn. That's
Hmm.
one thing I've seen. The government and the authorities are looking forward to find solutions that will make life better
Okay.
because we believe we are still in the development stages. So whatever it is that's going to come, that is going to help with citizens, is going to help with the life of the people. We want to look into it. They want to learn and try to discover what good that will come out of it. That's how come they're not actually going after Bitcoiners. And there's not been a very big major scam involving Bitcoin in Ghana yet.
Okay.
All the scams are not related to Bitcoin, particularly. There are other kinds of scams going around, but it's not related to Bitcoin.
Yep.
So that is why I feel the government is not coming after it. And then there is a document sitting on the Bank of Ghana's website. They are trying to introduce CBDCs into the country. They don't know how to go about it. I'm sure they are still learning. They're trying to find their way around it. So I feel they've opened up the way. They want to see what people are going to learn. And once they try to introduce their CBDC, from what people have learned, they might help them make informed decisions as to the direction they would want to go with whatever policies they would want to put in place with regards to a digital currency or with Bitcoin.
I
Yeah,
love it. As you say this, I worked at a school there, and I was amazed at how much people wanted to learn, how open minded people were. And
yeah,
I was also just amazed at how quickly people there absorbed information and utilized it in their own sort of entrepreneurial way and figured out a way to incorporate it into whatever they were doing. I truly felt, I mean, utterly inspired. And I immediately thought about something like Bitcoin when I first learned about it back in 2017, 18, um, in a place like Ghana, because I felt like what I saw there was, again, a tremendous kind of entrepreneurial spirit in the people, but there were issues with the money. And I know that this year and last year the Ghanaian cedi went on a sort of wild ride
Yeah,
versus other currencies around the world. So when it comes to volatility with Bitcoin, oftentimes as Americans we measure it versus the dollar, but it's a little bit different sometimes versus other currencies. So
yeah.
is Bitcoin highly volatile versus the cedi, or is it less so because the cedi is experiencing its own volatility right now?
It's less. It's
Okay.
less compared to comparing it to the dollar. If you
Okay.
compare it to the CD, the volatility level isn't really much, very marginal.
Wow.
Yeah, you don't
Interesting.
really see the volatility there because just a little amount of Bitcoin will get you so much CDs.
Okay.
So once the volatility comes in, you don't really feel it unless you're
Mm,
comparing it to the dollar.
got it.
So the smart way not to feel the volatility is to always compare your Bitcoin to the local currency,
Got
not
it.
to the dollar. Yeah,
Interesting.
yeah,
And you mentioned something in a previous interview where you said maybe three or four out of every 10 Ghanaians now know what Bitcoin is.
yeah.
Does that mean they've heard of it, or they actually have a decent knowledge of what Bitcoin is and how to use it?
Okay, they've heard of it.
Okay.
They've heard of it. Yeah, a lot
Okay.
of people have heard about it, but as the number of people that are using it are not that much.
Got it.
But I would say there's a large number of people that have heard about it, and there's a large number of people wanting to learn. Because I sit in a taxi, and for a short distance, I speak to the driver about Bitcoin. Say, oh, Bitcoin, tell me about it. And by the time I get down, they already are in spill. They have a wallet, and they are looking up to the next. Yeah,
I love it. What
yeah.
wallet do you tell people to use?
So I start off with a range of wallets. You
Okay.
know, I've tried so many wallets, and then depending on who I'm talking to, I try to weigh the person. I look at what phone you're using. I look at how you're
Wow.
talking to me. I look at the area. Then I decide what kind of wallet I will give you. Yeah,
Okay, interesting. So what
yeah.
are maybe like what are two or three of your favorite wallets to
Oh,
recommend?
okay. So wallet of Satoshi is so easy and simple to use,
Yep.
and you can easily get it on the iOS, and you can get it on the Google Play Store. It's so easy. So if the person has a smartphone, I started with Wallet of Satoshi.
Okay.
Then once you get to use Wallet of Satoshi, I take your number. If you're good with it, after a week, then I tell you, all right, try Phonics because you need to self custody your
Yep.
Bitcoin. Then I
Yep.
give you Phonics in addition. But if I realize you don't have a smartphone, I go straight to Machankura. I hope you know
Okay.
Machankura.
Yeah, of
Yeah.
course.
So I go
Absolutely.
straight to Machankura. I'll let you know, all right, did you know you can use Bitcoin without internet? You're like, what?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can use Bitcoin without internet. Then I give you Machankura. I show you how Machankura works. And easy does it. So I play in between Wallet of Satoshi, Machankura, Blink, Phoenix Wallet.
Okay.
Yeah. And
Cool.
now, when we're talking about hardware wallets, we had a Treasure Academy in Ghana. We had
Oh,
almost like 30 people attending. It was a 3 week intensive class sponsored by Treasure. So we trained a whole lot of people, almost like 20 people in total. All of them had hardware wallets. All the students had hardware wallets, and their wealth of knowledge, I would say, was so deep that they are like me now. So they are also evangelists moving around the country, orange
wow.
peeling people after that educational session we had. So
Cool. Wow, that's yeah, that's amazing. Just very quickly for some people, I'm trying to sort of educate people who are new to the space here as well, of which there are many in the States. Could you quickly describe what Machankura is? I'll set it up a little bit. So I know with Machankura, you can use something like an old Nokia phone, like
yeah,
an actual phone with a keypad, but could you give a few more details on what Machankura is?
okay. So
Yeah.
Machankura is a South African word. Basically, it means money.
Yeah.
So Machankura enables anybody with a smartphone or anybody with a feature phone, a phone that does not have internet, access to be able to send and receive Bitcoin
Yeah.
on the feature phone. So you can send and receive Bitcoin. You can actually transact on the feature phone via Bitcoin. So you can buy airtime or data. You can buy some prepaid credit. You can buy electricity bills using your dump phone, the feature phone. So Machankura does that. And it's got a web app as well. So you can actually access it on the web and then you can access it on your phone as well.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Machankura was developed by someone from the Bitcoin Cowries movement. So
Yes.
Bitcoin Cowries is a circular economy. Could you describe to people maybe how you were inspired by Bitcoin Cowries or other circular economies like Bitcoin Beach in El Salvador, and why you think Bitcoin circular economies are important?
Okay. So last year, November, I got to discover Bitcoin Cowries. Then I was watching their channels, watching the videos. Then Max DeMarco's interview, a short video on Bitcoin Cowries came. Then I took time to look at the video. Then I saw what a Bitcoin circular economy actually entails. So basically, what Bitcoin Cowries has done is that they've been able to turn a whole community into a community living on a Bitcoin standard. They transact among each other using Bitcoin. They buy goods and services using Bitcoin without having to change their Bitcoin into fiat. So the shops are accepting Bitcoin. Individuals are accepting Bitcoin payment for services they are rendering. So when you go to Bitcoin Cowries, you have teachers getting paid in Bitcoin. You have local tour guides getting paid in Bitcoin. You have shops accepting Bitcoin payment. You have students learning and getting paid in Bitcoin. So that blew my mind. That concept was, I was like, wow. So we could actually live on Bitcoin within a circular economy amongst ourselves without having to use fiat. Then this is the direction I'm going to go. So in December, when I saw Herman at the Bitcoin conference, I felt like I've seen a mentor. I've seen this is the guy. This is the man. Let me get familiar with him. And he was so open. He was so open to me. He started telling me about what to do, what not to do, sending me some educational materials to read, advising me on the steps to take. And here we are today. We are actually building two Bitcoin circular economies in Ghana at the moment. Yeah.
Cool. In what regions?
So one is in the Volta region, that is Bitcoin Dua, and one is in Accra at the beach called Bitcoin Bright,
Cool.
Kokrobite. Yeah.
Awesome. That's exciting. I'm hoping to be, I was supposed to be at the African conference last year. I got very, very sick a little bit before it and couldn't go. I had COVID during it, so I couldn't get on the plane, unfortunately, and I had some other things going on, but I'm hoping to be there this year. So hopefully I could see
Sure.
one of these circular economies with my own eyes. So
I look forward to meeting you.
likewise.
We'll go to Agozome Bitcoin Dua.
Perfect. Perfect. Sounds great. So what are the what problems does transacting in Bitcoin solve in Ghana?
So transacting in Bitcoin solves a lot of problems. So let me start off with this. By 5 p.m., all banks are closed in Ghana.
Yep.
The weekends, the banks are not working. If you need to receive money from outside, just an I in your name. If let's say my name is Kumi. If somebody spells it Kume,
Mm-hmm.
my money is locked. That money will not be given to me.
Yep.
So if somebody will have to send me, let's say $3 in Ghana, the person would have to send more than $3 before I'll be able to get $3. Look at all these inconveniences.
Yep.
But Bitcoin fixes all of this. If I need to send some now as we speak, ordinarily, there is no means by which I could send money to someone outside without having to go to the bank. If I go to the bank, questions are going to be asked. Who am I sending it to, and why do I want to send? And I can't even send my fiat. I would need to have a dollar or a pounds account to
Yep.
be able to move money outside. Look at all these inconveniences. Bitcoin is fixing all of this.
Agreed.
Bitcoin is fast. Bitcoin's low transactional fees is making life easy. Now, one thing a lot of people, the authorities don't know, and then a lot of people also don't know, I can buy airtime using Bitcoin and I get 100% bonus. Almost everything I buy with Bitcoin electronically it comes with 100% bonus. While if I should buy with normal fiat, it's just that, and even lesser than that. So let's say if I buy airtime 10 cedis with my fiat, I get 10 cedis, and there is no bonus, there is nothing that comes with it. if I should use Bitcoin to buy airtime 10 cedis, I get 100% bonus.
When you say bonus, what is this 100% bonus that you mean?
So the
What's
hundred
the
percent,
reward? Yeah.
so the 100% bonus is that I can exhaust my initial 10 CDs and I'll still have extra airtime to make calls. Whilst the
Oh,
fiat system, if you buy 10 CDs and the 10 CDs is finished, it's done. The call cuts in it instantly. But
oh,
if you use
interesting.
Bitcoin to buy the electronic, I don't know if it's because it's electronic, you get 100% bonus. So you
Wow.
get more value buying airtime and data with Bitcoin than using ordinary fiat to buy airtime and data.
Interesting. Wow. That's the first time I'm hearing something like that. That's
Yeah,
amazing. Wow.
it's amazing. When I discovered it, I was like, so has this thing been here all this while? Or is this how these telcos are making money?
Yeah.
Because, yeah, because if I use
Int-
Bitcoin, I get 100%. And I can sit here. There are people who call me, Kumi, I need credit. I need data. And they send me fiat. I use Bitcoin to buy because they know at the end of the day, they're going to get 100% bonus on whatever airtime or data I'm buying for them using Bitcoin.
Oh, so that's amazing. So using Bitcoin, value accrues to the individual. You're getting more for your money. What
Yes.
about saving in Bitcoin? So not transacting, but actually just holding
It,
on to Bitcoin for the
yeah.
long term. Do you use it for that purpose as well?
Yeah. So holding on to Bitcoin in Ghana is actually good because the price volatility doesn't really affect you that much. You don't really feel it because Ghana changed its currency about let's say 15 years ago. We used to have a lot of zeros in our currency. So
Yep.
our 100 Ghana today is 100. Previously, it was 1,000, and that is the money we all grew up knowing.
Yep.
So every Ghanaian right now feels that change came off bad to us because we
Sure.
could do so many within that zeros, that 100. We could do so many things. We could buy food. We could buy airtime. We could do so many things within that zeros. Now we can't do that because the money has been changed and then it's been shrunk. But Bitcoin gives you that feeling again that wow,
Mm.
this was our money. This was how our currency used to be like. We used to have all these zeros, and all these zeros had value in them. So when you're saving in
Interesting.
Bitcoin and then the price drops, you don't really feel it. Because when you look at the difference in the cedi, you realize, oh, this isn't that much. It's just something small you've lost there. And once Bitcoin's price go up, you can feel it that, oh,
Yeah,
all
that's
right, I'm
yeah,
in.
yeah. That's
Yeah,
that's a good side of it. Very cool. So a few other things I wanted to touch on. So speaking of this concept of money, I've heard you describe the concept of a cowrie. So also you're part of a group called the Bitcoin Cowries, which I think
yeah,
is for people who kind of work as Bitcoin educators. Is that a fair
yeah,
way to describe you?
yeah.
Could you tell us a little more about the Bitcoin Cowries? But first, tell us about the concept of a cowrie, if you don't mind.
Okay, so the cowrie used to be one of our major trading currencies. It is the most sustainable currency we ever had. It was
Um,
so hard to come by. It's got certain characteristics like Bitcoin. Yeah,
got
because
it.
it was so hard to come by, and
What
you
was it
own
made
it.
out of? What was it made out of? Was it made of a metal? Was it made of
No,
a?
no, it came from the sea, and it was so hard
Ah,
to get. So let me tell you how they were getting the cowries from the sea. So they
please.
actually take either a big cow or a dead corpse,
Oh wow.
and then they tie it with a long rope, and then they take it into the middle of the sea. They leave it there for months, and these cowrie shells will come and stick to the remains. So once they bring it out, that is the currency. So when you go to the sea, you go and mine the cowries, and then you bring it to the land.
Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
and it was in limited supply. So everybody that has one could just barter trade it with any kind of good or commodity.
That's wild. That's I mean,
Yeah,
so
that's so
that brings
wild.
up the concept of money having to be scarce. Good money has
Yes,
to be scarce, like
yes,
Bitcoin, which is perfectly scarce.
yes,
Okay.
yeah.
And then so
So,
you named your
so
group after this. You call yourselves
yeah,
the
with
Bitcoin Cowries. Yeah.
calories, yeah.
Okay. Cool.
So Bitcoin calories basically, we are educators. we're educating people around Ghana about Bitcoin and then evolving into different kinds of things because we have other projects coming up. Like we are building Bitcoin circular economies now, but we have other projects. One is called My Sats Farm. Going into the villages and then talking to people, you realize, all right, there are certain things you can't just go and educate people about Bitcoin and leave them. So there's this village which is full of farmers, and I was thinking, what is it we can do with Bitcoin to help these farmers? So we came up with the concept, My Sats Farm. Basically, anybody around the world could own a piece of land in this village, and you pay the farmer in Bitcoin. You direct the farmer what kind of produce you want to plant. Let's say you want to plant maize. So you rent the farm. Maize is 3 months. You can rent the farm for 3.5 months or 4 months.
Wow.
And then you pay the farmer in Bitcoin. You pay for the farmer to work on the farm in Bitcoin. Once the produce is ready, because we are looking at building Bitcoin circular economies, you decide, do you want the produce to be shipped to you, or do you want the produce to be sold to the people in Bitcoin at a cheaper price? So
Wow.
you are helping build Bitcoin circular economies. Then
Wow.
that's the concept. So we are empowering. So you can be in the US, you can be anywhere around the world, but you can own a piece of land using Bitcoin. You can rent a piece of land using Bitcoin in Ghana, pay the farmer in Bitcoin. The farmer farms the produce. Now, the ones that harvest time is ready, we harvest and then we sell the produce in Bitcoin. If you're looking at building Bitcoin circular economies, then we have to strategically find ourselves in the food supply chain, because once you have Bitcoin, you need to spend Bitcoin. And if you can't get your daily supplies using Bitcoin, then we are not actually building the economy we are using. So that is something we are actually passionate about, into getting a lot of farmers to be on my Sats farm. We introduce their pieces of land to people around the world so they can rent them, pay the farmers in Bitcoin. We supervise the farmers to make sure they plant the goods. We get good harvest, then we can sell the produce to the people in Bitcoin cheaper than the prices on the market. So let's say a can of maize is selling at 50 cedis on the market. We will sell it in Bitcoin at 45 cedis.
Interesting. So again, value accrues to the person buying it, and you also have value accruing to the farmer.
Yeah.
Wow. That is wild. I'm going to speak with you after this because I have some of the people that I lived and worked with there who have been looking into different ways to make money,
Okay.
exporting their agriculture or selling their agriculture on the farms. And this is close to my heart, and I've been trying to think of creative ways. I heard you talk a little bit about this on another podcast, and I was like, that might be the solution I've been looking for. So I
Okay.
won't I won't have the audience listen to all that, but we could talk for a minute afterwards.
Okay.
In terms of Bitcoin adoption, do you think that the biggest challenges are psychological, meaning like, what is this wallet, or like, what is this thing, where does Bitcoin exist, does it, or is it more practical, like, how do I use a wallet, how do I exchange with this currency? In your experience, what do you think the biggest hurdles are for people?
So I would say for now, it is more practical. In the beginning, people were more skeptical. If you want to talk to them, they're a bit reserved. But now, once you open up about Bitcoin, they're asking, they want to learn. And one thing that I've discovered is practically giving them use cases with things around them.
Yep.
So I joined the Afro Bitcoin community over the last month to some schools to talk about Bitcoin. And then in the process, I realized some teachers in the Volta region came. They're like, what is this Bitcoin you're talking about? Practically, how can we earn Bitcoin? So I've actually armed myself with a lot of resources as to how you can earn Bitcoin, playing games, writing articles, all the various basic things you can do to earn Bitcoin. So once I give them the practicality, so I practically say, okay, what games do you have on your phone? Now they show me the games on their phone. And I say, okay, none of these games make you money. Let me show you how you can get Bitcoin using a game. Now I download the game for you. You play in a couple of seconds, you're making some Bitcoin. And I show you how you can buy airtime and data. That's the most basic thing in Ghana. If you're able to buy airtime and data,
Yep.
you want them. So 1, 2, 3. I get you. I take your phone. I run you through. Okay, this is what you have to do. A, B, C, D. And now this is how you buy credit. This is how you buy data. And it's all on their phone. You're like, wow. So I've had all of these things, and I don't know what I'm doing with it. I say, yes, this is the way forward. This is the direction we are going. We
Yeah.
need to learn now.
I love
And
it.
yeah,
I just heard, I don't mean to interrupt you, but I just heard a very similar story from Nikolai Okin Chongarero in Namibia. So I lived in Namibia for a little while as well, and I connected with him through Twitter. And we were talking a little bit about this, especially this idea of either writing something or playing a game to earn some sats and then using that to buy airtime. And he said, I think for the last year, he hasn't spent any of his fiat currency buying any airtime for his phone. So
yeah,
essentially, he's using his phone for free.
yeah. Same as me. And then same as all the people I've been meeting. We've had several meetups. Now, last month we had one meetup, and this month we're going to have another meetup. I am getting calls every day. When is the next meetup? I've had 2 TV interviews already,
Cool.
and I have some radio interviews lined up. The media, like I'm a bit popular in the media in Ghana because I spend a lot of time on radio and TV.
Yep.
So the almost these influential societies within Ghana are calling me, Kumi, what is it you've been talking about? How can musicians make leverage on Bitcoin? And I'm telling them all the good things coming up. There's something I started. I call it a social adventure to actually get people involved in Bitcoin. So it's a show we crafted together, Bitcoin. We call it G8 Bitcoin Nights, where we bring musicians, poets, artists, all of them together under one umbrella as to how they can leverage on Bitcoin and then get money from Bitcoin.
Cool.
So we had our first session. The second one is going to come up, and we are fine tuning it. Basically, you come to the show, you're performing, we record a short video of you. But before you go on the stage, we sign you up, we get you a wallet. So once you perform, we take a video of you, we put your wallet under it. Now we blast. The whole world is seeing it. When somebody likes your craft, like what you're doing, they can easily tip you. Now
Yep.
they are getting to the realization that wow, we've been throwing out all these videos for free without a lightning QR or anything.
Yep.
Now this guy is showing us to put this lightning QR out there, and then we are getting money out of this, and it's catching up. People are liking it. Previously, an
Yeah.
artist would not be willing to do a free show, but now an artist will want to do a free show because they know, okay, Kumi is going to put a QR by my stage, and by the time he finishes recording, he's going to put a QR. And once he posts, people are going to see the QR, and then they are going to tip me. I will perform at his show for free.
I love it.
And yeah, and we are building on from there. I'm going to share all that we're going to do from now with you, so you can keep updated on the things coming
I
up.
will, and I'll be sure to share it through whatever media outlets I can, and
Yeah.
with whoever I can. But I want to also kind of practically ask you. So tell the, like, I have some people in Ghana that I will send this to. What games should they be playing to earn Bitcoin? Where should they be writing to earn Bitcoin? How else can they earn Bitcoin? So maybe a quick list of some practical ways to earn Bitcoin for free.
Okay. So let me start off with this. To play games and Bitcoin, Thunder Games. Thunder Games is the best place to go to.
Can you spell
So
that if you don't mind? Yeah.
okay, so let me be specific with it.
Yeah.
I'm going to give you a list of so many things that you can do to. I'm opening up a sheet. I have a sheet of
Cool.
all the things that you can do to.
And I'll put some of this in the show notes as well in the commentary.
Okay. Okay. So Thunder Games is THNDR.games.
Got it.
Yeah. But you can go to www.thnDR.games, and it's got loads of games there.
Cool.
If you want to write and then get some money out of it, you can use Stacker News. It's called Stacker.news. STACKER.news.
Yep.
you can write there, and then you can make money. If you're a musician in Ghana or anywhere around the world, you want to make money from your music, you can use Wavelake, WAVLAKE.com, Wavelake. Upload your music and you start making money from there.
That's great. I appreciate it. Those, I mean,
Yeah.
we could leave it there, but those are three great resources. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
I had basically one or two more questions for you. I wanted to know essentially what a day in your life looks like now. Do you still work semi-professionally or professionally as a broadcast journalist, or do you mostly focus on Bitcoin education, traveling around the country, etc.?
So currently, I've been a remote worker for almost like 2 years now. Since
Okay.
COVID-19, since the COVID, I transitioned into working remotely, and I realized my services was needed in more than two firms in Ghana.
Okay.
So I created that niche that I'm no more working from anybody's office. I'm working from home. I'm working remotely. So now my time is Bitcoin. But once I get the time to sit down, I chip in on my PC to do a couple of works. I had my hands on some contracts I'm still honoring to people. It doesn't really take my time and then my energy. I just use my PC and I respond to those works. But currently, Bitcoin is taking all the time. Traveling around the country, teaching people about Bitcoin, seeing what it is we can do about Bitcoin in Ghana. That's what I'm doing currently. So I would say full time Bitcoin, and I still have some remote personal jobs I am doing. Yeah.
Okay, cool. And how do you? So I think one of the things that sort of frightens me as somebody in my community who started teaching people about it is everybody tends to have a lot of questions. How do you field all of those questions? How do you make yourself available enough to try to explain every little thing to people? Do you do it mostly say like, hey, look, follow my Twitter or my website or something and I'll share it there? Or do you respond to everybody personally, one to one, all that stuff?
Okay, so Bitcoin Cowries have uh, an Instagram, a Telegram group, and a WhatsApp group. I try my best to answer a lot of questions there,
Got it.
and I'm open. I don't know why I am open, but it gives me energy
Good,
when
good.
questions are being asked. So once you give me a call, I will answer all your questions. I get called to places. I get called to offices. Uh, I got called into a very high ranking office in the government to come and talk about Bitcoin. And I was so pleased. I easily went there. I want to talk about it. And this is what they said to me. Keep on, learn as much as you can.
Mm.
Once we are ready, we'll call you again. You will come and help us make certain decisions when it comes to Bitcoin. So we like what you're doing. Keep up with it.
Wow.
Yeah,
I feel that that's super refreshing to hear because it makes me believe in the goodness of people, that governments don't just exist to maintain their own power and to do what
yeah,
they want, but that they do want to genuinely serve people, even with something like Bitcoin that might actually challenge the degree of their power
yes,
to some level. I just spoke with Okin about this, and he spoke with members of the central bank in Namibia, and they were open to, okay, like, what is
yeah,
this Bitcoin thing like? And that to me is really the good side of humanity, when you have people who have a certain power and that power will be challenged and they're still open-minded to it.
yeah,
I think it really it almost gives me, what do you say, goosebumps or something. Like, it
yeah,
almost, like, it really inspires me that, you know maybe people can remain open to this thing that can really be, a life raft, something that can really help humanity.
yeah,
That's inspiring.
yeah.
Yeah, I
The,
could ask you. Yeah, please. I think you
there,
were about to say something.
there's a gold. Ghana has a lot of gold.
Yep.
There's a lot of gold in Ghana now. Now Ghana is actually the number one gold exporter in Africa.
Oh,
So
wow.
almost all these politicians, the big guys, they are into gold, and they like money. They are dealing with money, and they can feel it. They can feel the inflation. They can feel how they are losing money and all of that. So they are trying to find alternatives. Now I got called by one member of parliament, and his sibling actually came for the Treasure Academy, and I gave them a hardware wallet. So he took the hardware wallet to show to this member of parliament. And then I got called to come and explain what it is and how they can use it. And the first thing I said to him, sir, did you know next year is election year in the US? He said, yes. I said, did you know 3 of the presidential candidates are accepting Bitcoin
Four
payment?
now. Four.
4
Yeah.
now. I said, did you know they are accepting Bitcoin payment? He said, really? I said, yes, they are. Where do we borrow money from? Is it not the US? He said, yes. So if these guys who want to be president are actually telling the US citizens how they are going to use Bitcoin to transform the economy,
Yep.
and we are here and not learning about Bitcoin and not doing anything about it, and at the
Yep.
end of the day, we are going to borrow money from these same people, what are we doing to ourselves? We're not doing good to ourselves.
That's
We
right.
better start learning about Bitcoin. Then he said, hey, gentlemen, you have just struck me. I am going to learn about it. I am going to learn about this. But
Oh,
you have to learn more so that when the time comes, you will teach us what we have to do.
yep. Yep.
Then he took his laptop and then he started Googling and he just turned his laptop to me. Oh, I can see it's true. I said, yes, it's true. They are already accepting payments in Bitcoin. So what are we going to do as Ghanaians? We are the ones that always go there to borrow. So the guys we are going to borrow money from are doing A, B, C, D. Why don't we do the same thing so we can become
Oof.
as strong and powerful as them?
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I felt really, really confident from that day that wow, Bitcoin is actually piercing, is going through. And then one thing I sit back that makes me smile is this all these big guys that came to the first conference are aware of Bitcoin, they know what Bitcoin is doing. And this year we are doing it again.
Yep.
I am anticipating a large number of government officials attending this year's conference to actually know it. You know, one of the IMF's conditions is for governments to leverage on CBDCs.
I know.
But
Yeah.
if they should come and learn about the real difference between Bitcoin and CBDCs, they would actually figure out the best way to go about it rather than towing what the IMF is saying strictly.
I hope so, I hope so, because the IMF, I think, is the final boss. I think that's beyond governments. I think what the
Yeah,
World Bank and the IMF does to countries, we call it, the global south or developing
yeah,
countries, is immoral. They
yeah,
keep countries locked in debt eternally, and
yeah,
it's absolutely brutal to watch. It's
yeah,
absolutely wrong. And again, much like the government officials you're describing, I want to believe there are people at the World Bank and IMF that maybe don't understand what they're doing. Maybe they actually think they're doing good. And then once we sort of bring this to their attention that they're not necessarily doing good, maybe they can embrace something like Bitcoin versus like a total control surveillance technology like a CBDC.
yeah,
Maybe. Who knows? We have to sort of hope for the best with human beings and do the best you can to educate them. So
yeah.
um, on that note, there's one last thing you said that I really liked, and you said once people have Bitcoin in their hands, the education starts. Why is that? Why do they need to have a little bit of it for them to start educating themselves or to be open to education?
You know, if you're talking about Bitcoin and they don't have Bitcoin, they see it as some kind of superficial thing.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
But once it finds its way onto their phone and they have it in their hand, now
Yeah,
they know, oh, did you know you can buy credit with it? Okay, this way,
yeah,
do it yourself, do it. And
yeah,
then
yeah.
and it's there practically. So
Yep,
the one thing I'm so happy about, I've introduced people to Bitcoin who don't have smartphones
yep.
and they are using Bitcoin so seamlessly. It amazes me.
I love it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there are people on the street, like I met people who are using Yamp, like the feature phone. I introduced them to Bitcoin. He's an artist. So all I had to do was record a video of him performing. Then I posted on Twitter using my handle.
yep,
And he's been getting Bitcoin. Now he's orange peeling other artists,
yep,
buying them airtime, showing them how to set up their wallet. And they are all not having smartphones and they are using Bitcoin.
yep,
I just saw that with he having Bitcoin, gave him that energy and power. Now he's moving around and once you have Bitcoin, just a little bit of Bitcoin, you feel on top of the world, like
yep.
you have some kind of power, and then you would want to teach somebody or introduce someone to it. Because
That's
in
that.
Ghana, they will ask you, you're talking about Bitcoin. Do you have Bitcoin? Let me see. Let me see. If you're talking about Bitcoin, let me see. Let me see
Yeah,
what Bitcoin is.
yeah.
Then if you can show, yeah, they trust and believe you.
Yeah, and I think there's two things that happened for me. I felt that same feeling when I first bought it and got involved in the network. I think one, it's property for people that can't afford property like in the real world. It's property for the disenfranchised, so it's just perfect property in cyberspace, and I think that's great. But then all of a sudden you feel like you're a part of this network, and this
Yes.
network provides a lot of hope to people. And I
Yeah.
think that it's not a false hope in that like, oh, we're all going to be rich. It's that we're going to support each other. We're going to
Yeah.
spread this network. We're going to bring more value to this network. And I think it's super inspiring. And I was talking again with Okin about this. I think it was after the recorded part of the interview, but I think there are going to be social effects that are going to do things to reduce racism in the world, to reduce sexism in the world, to reduce anything to do with religious intolerance, because when people look at each other and think like I'm a bitcoiner like this person, or they don't look at each other through the same lens as like, oh, this person's different than me because of the color of their skin or this. And so we create this new network based on something we have in common and something we're looking to help grow. And I think that social effect is going to become bigger and bigger and bigger, and
Yeah.
it's going to profoundly change the world. That's my humble opinion on
Yeah.
that.
That's so true. That's so true.
Yeah.
Bitcoin doesn't discriminate.
Yes.
Bitcoin doesn't know white or black. Bitcoin is just Bitcoin. And once you are in Bitcoin, everybody is Bitcoin and everything is Bitcoin. All
It's
you see is Bitcoin.
yeah, it's a little
Yeah.
scary sometimes, but yeah, when I wake up dreaming about it or something. But anyway, I want to sincerely thank you. You're a busy person. Thank you for your time. I will do the best I can to spread this to as many people as possible. I very much hope that I will be able to meet you in person in about 5 months in December at the African
Sure.
Bitcoin Conference. I'm super excited about that. Please tell people where they could find you, the Bitcoin Cowries, all that online.
Sure. So my personal handle is Cowries Kumi on Twitter, and then you can follow Bitcoin at Bitcoin Cowries on Twitter as well, Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube, Bitcoin Cowries, and then you can follow. Our website is bitcoincowries.com. I put it on hold a bit because I have a few things coming up. There's one thing I didn't talk about. We have something coming up called the Bitcoin Street Store. It's Bitcoin pop-up stores. I'm looking at spreading across the country. You know, Ghana has a lot of festivals, so I'm looking at sending one pop-up store to each festival that's going to come up. So you're going
Okay.
to see a pop-up store, Bitcoin accepted here. This is the Bitcoin shop. So
Cool.
anybody that has a question at the festival, you come to the Bitcoin pop-up shop. We tell you about Bitcoin. We set you up on Bitcoin if you're a merchant. So by the time the festival is over, we've already told as many people as we can. And then
I
the
love
pop-up
it.
stores are going to go around the country.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I love it. One last thing I want to share, just because it feels like it's in my heart and wants to come out. I really feel like people like yourself, people like Okin, other people that are doing this sort of work are, true community leaders doing this. With this great amount of excitement and enthusiasm. It's great. It reminds me a lot. I used to be in the music business, so I would find artists to work with, and I get the same sort of excitement. I see this talent, people like yourself, and it reminds me of what it looks like to hear a band that I really loved or a song that I
mm-hmm.
really loved. And it gives me this inspiration that like there's this really beautiful thing growing. There are these people who are, finding the courage to become these leaders, to educate people. And it's very inspiring. So I want to say that I reached out genuinely because I was inspired by what I saw.
Thank
I
you.
very much appreciate you taking the time to do this. It's my humble pleasure. And again, I really hope we get a chance to have this conversation in person.
Thank you. Thank you. I
Yeah,
really appreciate you reaching out to me as well.
yeah,
I really appreciate this.
my pleasure. And we'll leave it there. So thank you guys, and we'll talk soon. Peace.
Sure.